Welcome, everyone. This is Our Souls Speak. We're in constellation in divine space. We convene with our souls to listen, share, and explore. Our Souls Speak, a podcast where together with our guests, we embody the soulful principles of oneness and sourceness. It's an honor to welcome you, Monique, to Our Souls Speak podcast. Dear friend, mentor, and teacher of mine. Monique Lang is a psychotherapist and the developer of Earth Based Psychotherapy. Her work is about dancing between psychological tenets and the wisdom of earth-based healers such as shamans. And earth-based is the way to heal through connecting to the elements to support us. Welcome, Monique.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I've heard about all of you many times. It's nice to meet you.
And so today, obviously, you're going to talk about connecting with the elements, and I think you want to start us off with a meditation.
I'd like to do that because then it gets all of us and our audience all in, like, grounded a little bit.
I think that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay. So feel free to close your eyes. And if you're lying down, if you're home and you'd like to lie down, please do so. Make yourself comfortable if you need a blanket or a pillow. And taking a deep breath in and out. We connect with the energy of the earth, the ground, the plants, the animals, the elves, the divas, all the beings that live on the earth, and all the people, for we are all connected through the energy of the earth. So you might want to imagine a special place and connecting with the energy of that place. Feeling the ground beneath you. We connect with the energy of the waters, the rivers, the lakes, the ponds, the oceans, the rain, and our own waters that course through our bodies. And feeling the nature, the nurture of the waters. Connect with the energy of the air. Energy of inspiration, of movement, of thought. Connecting with our breath. We connect with the energy of fire, the heat of the sun, the volcanoes, the fires, and our own heat. Energy of passion, excitement, creativity. We connect with the energy of our heart, where all elements combine. Give thanks for this organ that keeps us alive, and for its energy field that connects us. Very gently take a couple of deep breaths. Feel the ground beneath you. And when you're ready, let yourself come back to this time and place. Slowly.
Well, I don't really want to break the silence, but how did you develop Earth-based psychotherapy?
It kind of developed me. So I've been a psychotherapist for over 40 years, 45. Oh God, a long time. And so just to be clear, I'm a recovered psychoanalyst. That was my first modality. And what I found is that people understood themselves really well, but nothing changed.
Hmm.
And then I was fortunate to be able to go and study. So I used to work at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, which is one of those places. And one weekend they had, and I was the staff counselor. What did they know? What did I know? So anyway, one weekend they had this gathering of shamans. I had no idea what a shaman was. I didn't know anything. But nobody was coming to my office. They were all going to see the shamans. So I decided I'd go see the shamans also. And connected with this couple, Ipupiara and Klesha, and they became my first teachers. I went to Brazil with them and worked with indigenous people there. And it started changing the way I thought, the way I felt, the way I saw the world.
Mm.
And then a friend of mine was, so I started working with a friend of mine, and he said, I'm going to Ecuador. You want to come? And I'm like, okay. So that's the story of my life. Somebody says, would you like to? And I go, okay. So I went to Ecuador and I met many other healers and shamans, and I started noticing how profound their healings were, and how in our Western world, we're all mental. Even in therapies like somatic experience and sensory motor psychotherapy, it's still mental.
Yeah.
You know, you're still, well, what does body want to do? But you're still mental.
Right.
Whereas what the shamans that I've worked with, the healers, they're not mental. You ask them, well, why did you do that? And go, that's how it is. Or why do you this? Well, that's how it is. And like, it's very frustrated for the Western mind. My teacher, Ipupiara, used to hit me on the head literally with a shoe and say, stop asking why. So just feel it. And I would go, what? Anyway, so I realized that there was a synergy between what we were doing and what they were teaching me. And so, and it all started out with a client of mine, actually, who had had an abortion 30 years earlier. And she had talked about it, but it still wasn't resolved. And because I had already begun working with indigenous people, I said, well, we should do a ceremony. And we co-created a burial. So she went and she bought certain things. I remember there was a bib and a pacifier and something else. And we buried, we actually had a burial for the child that could not be. And then she said, well, we need to do something else. And I'm like, so we planted daffodil bulbs, because out of death comes a life. And the next year we went and the daffodils were in full bloom. And so that created a completion.
Yeah.
So that was my beginning. I really just followed. And actually, that's how it's been most of the time, that I just followed the impulses from the client, and also getting some, now I have more training, bringing in practices. For example, using the element, am I just, blah, 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 should I wait? Okay. So for example, water is the ultimate cleanser, right? We can also cleanse with fire and with smoke and whatever, but really water. And so this I took from my teacher, Don Oscar, actually, where if somebody has been physically hurt, to take a bath with what they call bitter herbs. So over there, it's plantain and dandelion and pine needles and whatever in your territory is considered a bitter herb. And you make a very, very strong tea, put it in the bath, and get in the bath and light a candle and ask that every cell of your body be cleansed from the impact of the attack. And so that we've done the psychological work, and now we are deepening it by actually doing something about it. And I recommend to people that they get a 7-day candle and they let it burn for 7 days to really release. And so they say you should do it. So it depends on the tradition. Some traditions say you have to do it on a Tuesday or a Friday.
Right.
And some other traditions say you let go right after full moon. It doesn't matter. I mean, as Ipu Piara used to say, it's very important. And I would say, okay, why? And he said, doesn't matter. So it's holding both the importance of what you're doing, but holding it lightly, you know? And it's helpful for people to get a sense of a tradition that you do it this way because that's how it's done. So you're bringing all kind of lineage into the ceremony. And so they do that. And I also recommend, after you take the bath, you make sure you have quiet time, you drink something lovely, not alcohol. And then 7 days later, you take a sweet bath. And the bath is with roses and carnations or whatever plant feels sweet to you. And you ask that this water bring it back into your cell, all the softness, all the weakness, all the beauty, so bringing back the health, the vibrancy of your body. And again, a 7-day candle. And you do that right after new moon. You can do that on a Friday, 7 days later, or you can do it right after new moon. It doesn't matter. And when people have a personal religion, I will work with that religion. Like for people who are Christian, I will work with so it's co-created.
Right.
So that's how I got into it, kind of.
You're talking about the essences of the rose and the pine and how that really is the major part of the healing of that water. Can you talk a little bit more about the essences and of the plants and maybe the consciousness of the elements a little bit? Or
So everything has consciousness, right?
yeah. Well, most people don't believe that. Everybody here does, but yeah.
There's a beautiful documentary by a woman named Melissa, I never remember her last name, who has done scientific studies with plants and how they respond to her. I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I mean, we all know animals respond, right?
Right.
And plants do as well. And certain plants, either because of their nature or because what they've been imbued with through our consciousness, will be sweet or sour or bitter. But you taste dandelion, it's bitter, right? And you taste the rose, it's not bitter.
Right.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
We've had thousands of years of saying to the rose, "Oh, you're so beautiful," and thousands of years to the dandelion saying, "Oh, you're horrible. You're a weed." So, the effects of those thought forms on plants are not to be underestimated. So is it really that they're that, or are they both, or are they something else?
Well, I don't know, but I believe that everything has an essence that is uniquely that thing, right? That we all have different essence. all the plants out there. And some of them, their essence is to be sweet aromatic, and others are to be bitter aromatic. And not judge one against the other, that they're both, right?
Yeah.
Well, they both have a beautiful purpose, right?
Yes. And I personally would not mix salad with roses, but I love dandelion salad. Why are they laughing?
I just like listening to you. So, what about can you talk about the the consciousness of the elements? I know you talk about that in your work. And then I think we can, as Lauren has already joined, we can just kind of go into this group conversation about that.
Well, everything has consciousness. Everything has energy.
Right.
I don't know what else to say.
Oh, okay. What I guess what I'm trying to get at,
That wasn't satisfactory.
you were mentioning that water is the best kind of cleanser, and that role is of water
I
is
think this may be my opinion, and it might be what we've been taught.
right.
But for example, one of the most powerful healings that I ever had was by fire.
Right.
And you got it too.
Right. And so I guess I just want you to share your wisdom about how those different elements, support us.
Well, they all support us in their own way,
Right.
and in part with what we ascribe to them. I think that each culture ascribes different attributes to different elements. Now, why do I think that water is best for cleansing? That's how I experience water. That doesn't mean that that's the right way. Every night I take a shower and I wash away the day.
Right.
That's not necessarily what would be best for anybody else. So part of the challenge and the gift is to find what works for you. For some people, it's sound, right?
Right.
And I think that ultimately it's about everything.
Yeah.
So it's about it's, for me, it's always a co-creation with the person that I'm working with. And I offer certain things because of the teachings that I've received and the experiences that I've had. But it's more important that the person that I'm working with resonate with what we're doing than my saying, you have to do this, right? Like burials are amazing. One of the things that Tati does that I've learned from her, because she does family constellations, that's how I've learned it, although there's other models. Like somebody is carrying ancestral trauma or ancestral beliefs that no longer works for them, to find a rock that is big enough to contain all those beliefs, all this trauma, and bury it, and ask the earth to to heal it, to take it away, and I use the word composting a lot, even though rocks don't get composted, but they get cleansed by the earth, right? Another thing I do, talking about the earth, is I love rocks. So I will often suggest to people that they go find a rock Not necessarily a crystal. It could be a crystal, but go find a rock that calls to you. Don't pick it, let it pick you, and imbue it with what you want to bring in your life. And that becomes a reminder, right? So when I've done a big piece of work with a client, I will often I have a basket of rocks, and I'll say, take a rock and imbue it with this new awareness, this new knowing that you have about yourself. And keep it with you for 21 days. And they go, why 21 days? And I say, I don't know. That's how it is. Because I don't know. But that's what I was told, 21 days. I mean, 21 is a sacred number and it connects to sacred geometry. We can go through. But honestly, I don't know. I was told 21 days, 21 days. You know, so that's how I use the earth, or just go and lie on the earth. And this I learned recently, with your belly, not your back. And let yourself absorb the energy of the earth. Let it, you know, comfort you, heal you, nurture you, whatever you need. And, you know, so we co-create using the element that seems the most appropriate for the occasion at the time. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. The only thing that matters is pure intention. Everything else is, as my friend would say, sliced bread.
It totally resonates for me.
I was going to say
It
that.
totally resonates exactly resonates. It's just, I got two little incidences that I wanted to share. The one about the belly is spot on. I was working with a group who are yew shamans who work with the yew trees in England, and we went to a grove of yew trees, very old yew trees, 4,000 years old in Wales, and everybody lay on their back, and I was told, lay on your front, and everybody was kind of surprised, but I tell you what, it was completely amazing, feeling the connection into the roots, feeling the connection between the trees. Anyway, it was fantastic. And the second little story about rocks, which I wanted to support you on, is another journey into the yew groves in Surrey. And I saw this beautiful rock on the path, and I picked it up, and we walked up to the yew grove, and then I heard this rock kind of wanting to get my attention. And the rock said, why did you pick me up? I was really happy there. And I felt terrible, as you would. And I said, well, I'm so sorry. Would you like me to take you back? Well, no, you've brought me all the way up here. Why don't you go and put me in here? Go and put me inside the yew tree. Right? So that's what I did. But what a lesson about casually picking up things, and you absolutely nailed it there. You absolutely. If the rock, if the stone, if the crystal gives the permission, the consciousness, says, yeah, you can pick me up.
I have my own story about a rock.
Yeah.
So I was backpacking. So here I am walking up a mountain. Actually, at that point, I was walking down the mountain with a 35-pound backpack. And I'm not too thrilled. It's the end of a very long stay, and I just want to get home. And I see this rock, about this big. You've seen it, Greg. It's like this round. From Arizona. And I'm like, And the rock says to me, pick me up. And I'm like, no. I'm carrying 30. I am not adding an ounce to this backpack. No way. And I walked like half a mile down and it says, you had to have that rock. So I trudge back up and I'm thinking, maybe it won't be there. Sure enough. And it's a healing rock. I've used it many times when I do healings. It's a womb rock, you know? So, and sometimes my rocks disappear, you know, it'll be there and then it's not. So, yeah, rocks are special. And we all have an affinity for a certain element.
Yeah. What's yours?
Water.
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 Yeah, always. I find myself just getting into water, regardless of whether it's making sense or not. You know, it could be the busiest day, and I hear, go and have a bath. I'm like, well, I'm not, there's nothing and then I'm just lying in the bath going, okay, well, I'm meant to be. And I just know. And yeah, this, it's kind of like a magnetic pull towards water in every sense.
So when you go to water, do you feel like you need to be replenished or do you need to be cleansed?
I feel at home, like
Mm.
my whole system relaxes. I lose my sense of what is me and what isn't me. Like all the boundaries soften, and I feel held. I feel completely held. I am completely held.
Yeah, beautiful.
But I love the bitter and the the sweet. That's another level of experience.
Well, and you know, you can just do it just because,
Yeah, I love
not
it.
necessarily because you're, you know.
Yeah, there was a release for me when you said that, because I find it tedious to explain something even to myself because it feels unnecessary.
Yeah, so why should you?
Yeah. So thank you for that. Amongst the other gifts you're sharing with us tonight.
Yeah, you know, and remember this idea of wanting to know and explain is such a Western. I remember talking to them, why this and why that and how is this? And they would say, that's how it is. I stopped asking. You know, trust it.
Mm.
Yeah, it's ancient. I know you've talked to me before about just how, you know, the rocks have been here a lot longer than we have, so they carry a wisdom.
Mm.
I was walking yesterday and I realized at another level that nature doesn't care. It does its thing. It will continue to do its thing.
Mm.
And we're just visitors.
Mm.
And it's here to help us if we're willing to co-create, if we're willing to connect.
Yeah.
What do you see as the potential of that?
So there's a Quechua word called Aini, which means in right relationship with.
Mm.
And I think that the idea for everyone's their health and well-being is to be in right relationship with everything, with nature, with ourselves, with the people next door. It doesn't mean that we like it all, but there's a difference between that and being in right relationship, right?
Mm.
And to me, being in relationship is similar. I've been thinking about that, to practicing what the Buddhists called kindness,
Mm.
basic kindness.
Mm.
And if you come from the place of basic kindness towards all, then you're in right relationship.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And there's a quote from Pema Chodron, which I really like. And when I have difficulty with other people, almost never happens. No. Is to keep reminding myself, just like me, this person wishes to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that really helps me get off the edge. Of, what's wrong with this person? Why is it?
Mm.
Mm.
You feel so young.
Yeah, well, I pretend I'm not aging. Although I have to say that my body has a different opinion about it.
And what's present for you most now?
Big question.
Yeah.
I feel that I'm moving into the what's next,
Mm.
but nobody's bothered to tell me what it is. And so right now, it feels like a lot of waiting.
Mm. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. But as a friend of mine would say, Monique, you've been saying this for 60 years. Maybe you should give it up. But she's old.
Oh.
Mm.
Wow, the space that I'm feeling right now is just so lovely and kind and grounded, and I thank you for taking us here.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say tonight?
I do better with questions.
Can you formulate a question?
Well, I was thinking about the nature of the questions themselves, and what was coming for me was the intention of the question.
Mhm.
I had some really loving feedback recently about not what I was saying, but how I was saying it and where I was coming from in saying it. And I realized in some cases there was a harshness or a judgment or a righteousness about the nature of my questions. And yeah, I mean, in those moments we were quiet, I was thinking about the superfluous nature of most of my questions. Just watching them go around going, what's that one about? What's that one about? So this is what's the nature of questions that take us more into ourselves and take us more into nature, take us more into what's natural.
I think it's not a question that takes us more into ourselves. I think it's in the beingness and allowing ourselves to experience the what is or whatever. What the Buddhists call presence. Which I fail at most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Which reminds me, this is a funny story. I don't know if I want to say that on camera. Anyway, you can cut it out, please. I have this client who is brilliant. I mean, really like, one of those genius types. And he said to me one day, you're not the smartest therapist I've ever had. You're actually not really brilliant, but you know how to hold space like nobody I know. And I think that, that's the one thing that I've been able to learn more, to try to not talk so much and be more present. And so then there's no question.
Can I ask a question? How do you do that, and how do you maintain that? Do you have a practice in order to stay grounded or stay present with the clients or with yourself?
So carry a rock that I hold at all times. And
Right.
it's a reminder.
Yes.
And I have this mantra, wait, why am I talking?
Wow.
Dick Schwartz. I have to give credit where credit is due. I mean, I don't think he made it up, but that's who I got it from. And I find myself about to say something and I'm like, why am I talking? So it's not easy. So we're back to mindfulness practice of observing and being mindful, which is something that I notice the healers that I work with in Ecuador, they are so aware. Like they'll say, can you see that bird over there? And I'm like, what? Where? Right? Or did you feel the energy shift? Like, what? Right? Such a presence, such a groundedness. And they don't ask why. They just, and so that's what I hope to teach my clients, which is, and in my workshops, which is, don't just be present. How does this feel? How are you feeling this in your body? What comes to your mind, not as a thought, but as, it's very catchy these days, but almost as a download, which is different than a thought. Downloads make no sense, usually, right? I'll tell you about that later. I don't want it on camera, because I had a download just doing dishes, right?
Right.
So it's not like, but when you're open, when information needs to come, and I'm not knocking meditation. I meditate every morning. Although my meditation has changed, whereas I kept, originally I was doing, I think it's Zen meditation, where you just watch your thoughts and you try. Now, instead of doing that, I try to really, I'm fortunate to live in a house where there's a garden, and I just try to really pay attention to what's going on out there. You know, how are the leaves moving today? What birds are coming? Oh, it's spring here. This flat bush just bloomed. So just being more earth-based and present rather than trying to go off. It's not better, it's not worse, it's different. But the healers that I've worked with, they work with guides mostly, or I don't know. I have no idea. But they'll say something like, well, this tree, so this happened, we were in the jungle, and we were with this lovely, lovely man, Nelson, who took us in the jungle to tell us about the trees. And he's saying, and this tree does this, and this tree does that. And we're like, nice. And finally, somebody said, well, how do you know? And he looked at her like she was really dumb. I was smart enough not to ask the question. And he said, well, the tree told me. They're still in right relationship.
Thank you.
And your issue is you don't trust what you know. Cut that out of the video. Because you know a lot. And there's this part that blocks it.
That's staying in the video. Because that is a profound observation. And you're absolutely right.
It's yeah. So just be gentle with that. And there's a mantra for you.
Please.
It is safe to know.
It is safe to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. Write me, let me know how it goes.
I will do.
Greg, you were about to say something.
I have no idea. It was a long time ago. No, I would just thank you. Yeah. Thank you for this journey with tonight. It's been really full.
My pleasure.
Is there any support or service we can assist with in any way or form?
I'm not sure what your question is.
Probably because I'm not sure either.
So I'll give you the answer, which is probably not the answer you're looking for.
I'll take that one.
Be fully you.
Thank you.
Because everybody else is taking. But But seriously,
Mm.
when you're in the bath, very, very gently pose that question.
Mm.
Give me whatever it is that that I may be more me.
Mm.
Because the water knows, and you know through the water.
Thank you. Can you give him one?
I hit him over the head all the time.
With a shoe.
I've never hit you with a shoe.
I don't think you should hold back, you know.
I've hit you with other things, but not a shoe. Hit you with branches and rocks.
Hmm.
Oh, the word I've got is what a delight to be with you now, with us here. What a delight.
Yeah.
Fun.
Thank you for joining us. We invite you to subscribe to our channels and join our community. To receive more information about our guests and future events, please visit our website at sourceness.one. We are one.